Happiness Solved with Sandee Scarlatta. Today, I'm speaking with Yolanda Latimer. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Happiness Solved. So, it's Friday. Yay! We made it through another week. Today, we're going to be playing the rest of the interview that I had with Yolanda Latimer. And we're going to talk a lot more about the business that she was able to start as a result of the pandemic and how that relates to her daughter, Savannah. So I hope you enjoy it. It's really fun.
She watches things in different languages on her on an iPad. Like she's amazing. She's just amazing. To look at her and interact with her, you would never know that she's been through what she's been through. So
that's incredible.
I am definitely Mama Bear about that one.
That's incredible. And, 3-year-olds, I remember Brandon being 3-year-old and I could understand him, but most people couldn't. And I'll never forget, he used to sing this song and he was like, Zupa, Zupa. And that's all we could hear was Zupa. And we're like, what is Zupa? And my ex-husband and I, we looked at each other and we're like, what is Zupa? And then we realized it was the paper plates, that commercial. That was Zoo Pals.
Oh,
remember the little paper plates that had the ears? So he was singing that song, and all we heard was Zupa, Zupa, and we're like, "What the heck is Zupa?"
Savannah sings songs too that I'm like, where did she get that from? And then if I finally hear it,
and she sounds like she's right where she's supposed to be as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, she is. She's definitely caught up, which is. That was another thing. It was like, okay, I got her here, right? I got her out of the NICU, and now I have to get her to where her development is on par with her age. So it's been
sister,
an uphill battle.
If you got her this far, you can finish. You can cross the finish line. Let me tell you. The rest is going to be downhill. It's going to be easy.
Oh my God, I hope so.
You've done this twice before. It's going to be fine.
I know. Yeah.
Your only challenges are going to be the teenage years when, they say the teenage. I know for me, I know you talked about when you were a teenage girl. For me, I was a living nightmare for my mother. Okay. I wasn't bad. I've always been a rule follower, very strict. I follow the rules. I never missed curfew, but I was a nightmare. I would fight with her. I would argue with her. I was a living nightmare. And I was so grateful that if I was only going to have one child, I was so grateful that it was a boy.
It was a boy.
I couldn't live with another one of me. I couldn't. There's no way I could have.
I was definitely rebellious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely rebellious. And I think that, obviously that's a teenage thing. It just is, you test your boundaries and all of that. But Savannah is, a lot of her personality is showing through now. This is the age where they become like little humans, right? They're like little people, with their personality start to come through. And you start to see who the type of person she's going to be. And she's very assertive. She's very bossy to Azariah, but she's the opposite with, Isaiah. If Isaiah says no about something, that's it. She doesn't rev back at him or, yell. Because if Azariah says no, no, she gets all crazy with him. But
well, I would imagine that I know she sees her father every now and then, but I would imagine that Isaiah is a constant in her life. And even though he's her big brother, he's kind of like a father figure to her.
Mm-hmm. She sees him and she's like, she's calm. She's real calm with him, and she'll get in his lap, and the relationships are so different. Obviously, I know because their ages are different, but the age gap is different because Azariah obviously is the one that plays with her a lot, and she'll get Isaiah to play with her, but Azariah is the one that's building forts and tents for her and all that.
Aww.
She's like, I want a tent. Awaya, I want a tent. Make me a tent. She's so bossy.
Aww.
And if I tell her no about something, she goes to Azariah immediately, as if he's the second adult. She's like, Mom said no. Can you do this or no?
So let's fast forward to 2020. Yeah. Here we are, 2020. Mm-hmm. So tell everybody what you have done because of Savannah's condition and the pandemic.
Yeah. So because Savannah was born so prematurely, she has chronic lung disease and she's also immunocompromised. So those two things makes her high risk for contracting the coronavirus. And once Isaiah came home once he made it home from school from Kentucky, I decided that I was going to not engage in any outside food because I felt that if we did that would be more risk in bringing something into the house. So I just said, we're not going to be doing any outside food, and we're collectively as a family going to be doing that. And I thought I was going to get some pushback, not really from Azariah, but I thought from Isaiah, but I didn't, primarily because he had been tired of eating the dining hall food from school. So he was just like, well, okay, no big deal. He didn't really care because he had been eating the dining hall food and eating out like he was eating Subway and Chipotle and, so he was like, I'm all for the, home cooked food. So
when they come back from college, they're like, what are you making tonight for dinner? And it's like, what's for dinner tonight?
Yes, savages. So I decided that I would just cook every meal, which I did. And I started in April. And I just recently passed the 300-day mark of no outside food, which I miss my restaurants. I'm a foodie and I love my restaurants and I love my happy hours. And, I miss that tremendously.
I miss going to happy hour with you. I know.
I know.
But I'm not going to happy hour with anybody else either. So, I'm right there with you.
But it's like, I once they did, kind of open it up for dining in, and even the curbside I wasn't doing. I just wasn't doing curbside. I wasn't doing delivery. I wasn't doing anything because I was just really, I had gotten really mama bear and really my anxiety rose like 1,000 times over. And I'm like, yeah, I just don't want to see her in the hospital if I can prevent that.
Of course.
I couldn't prevent her coming early. I kept her inside as long as I physically could, and she had to come out. So I couldn't control that, but this I could control, to a certain extent. So I decided that I was going to do everything within my power to keep or to minimize the risk to her. So I was doing, cooking every day, sanitizing groceries, everything was ordered and sitting outside. I had to go outside with my gloves and sanitize everything. Such a whole, and I got groceries delivered this morning and I'm like, oh my gosh, like when am I going to ever be able to not do this? I was thinking that this morning, I'm like out there with my freaking robe on, and my neighbors are used to it. So I don't even care. Like they're used to seeing me out there on my porch and my gloves on, and I wipe everything down, and then I decided then I move everything on the side. I take things out of the container if I can and throw the container away. So it's a process. And then once I get everything sanitized, I have to put it all up, so I'm just like, it's exhausting. Like after you do it, I go through that. I'm like, now I don't even want to do anything for the rest of the day, But yeah, so I started doing that, and once I came up on I started cooking, and then I started taking pictures, documenting, the food that I was making, just because I know that Facebook gives you those memories, and I wanted to have something to look back on next year, this year, 2021. But my friends and followers and stuff on Facebook and Instagram, they were like, you should probably start a blog. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't have time for that. They were like, no, seriously, like, do you do this on the side? I'm like, I do what? I'm just cooking food and I'm taking pictures like that. But I've always took pictures. That wasn't anything like new.
You take Everyone knows I love every pictures. Second of your life, yes. Yolanda. Yes.
Yes. So, like that wasn't, I was like, guys, there's nothing new here. But Michelle Obama had a documentary out, and I hadn't watched it yet, on Netflix, called Becoming, which is entitled the same as her book. At 6 o'clock in the morning, which is my me time, I watched it. Tears, it was so moving, and I was like, if I don't do this now, I'm never gonna do it. So immediately after I finished watching her documentary, I went on Wix.com and I created my logo and posted it and was like, hey, I'm doing a blog now. And that was it. So I created the IG and started doing that. And then people were like, well, we want to know the recipes. And, so I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even cook with measurements. Like I'm just throwing things in here. So now I had to start thinking and being cognizant of the measurements and like remembering what I put in there. And that was all a different thing for me too, because I wasn't used to telling people or even, having to write out an actual recipe unless I was following someone else's recipe, which, I was doing that. I was making my own recipes and following and also doing other people's. So after 100 days of cooking, I decided that I wanted to commemorate that with launching a website. So on Juneteenth is when I got my LLC, Londa's Laboratory LLC, which that name came from Mr. Isaiah because he was seeing me, in the kitchen all the time, like with the blender going, with the fan on. He was just like, what is going on up here? It's like your laboratory. So he was like, what are you making now? And I'm like, oh, I'm doing such and such. So he was like, literally like your lab. So I took that and decided to name.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah. Cause it's a pun. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I could, spin on words. And because it really is like my laboratory, I'm always in there and creating different things. It's not scientific, but it's food. So it's a food lab.
But it's wonderful food. It's very creative and it's different. And you put different things together that you would never imagine. And it's wonderful.
I just been having fun with it. Like I just been having fun with it, mixing, flavors and stuff together because for one, I never had the time to do that. Because pre-COVID, I might cook like maybe twice a week, maybe 3 times. That's pushing it. But
right, because you were gone most of the day because you work full time most of the day. And you're picking up kids and exactly.
Yeah, it was tiresome. By the time I get home, it's like 6:30. Like who wants to freaking cook, at 6:30? So it's like you order something on the way home or you order when you get home while you're giving baths and going over homework. And it just, this whole COVID thing, obviously was a blessing in disguise, as well as, just throwing out some tests to people too.
For sure.
Because it gave me more time, for me. And then obviously I started my own business, which I didn't think in a million years that I would be an entrepreneur of anything. I mean, I did have this dream that I might have wanted to open up a ballet studio because I used to teach and dance, ballet and jazz.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that about you.
Yes.
Oh, there's something I did not know about you. Wow.
I did not know you didn't know that. Yeah.
I did not know that. I'm surprised it didn't come up because I'm a skating coach. I'm a retired U.S. national skating coach. So I thought.
No, my mom we used to watch that. We used to, those were the things we used to watch Saturday mornings was ice skating. My mom really, really loved that. So we would watch that. I went to the New York State Dance Olympics 3 times. That they held in Syracuse. And I got some medals, silver. I never got gold. I got silver, and I think I got 3 silver and 1 bronze.
That's amazing. That's still amazing.
Yeah. So I really, really, that was my thing. Like that was like, if I had ever done anything entrepreneurial wise, that's what I thought I would do. Never about food. Like that was never even on my radar. But obviously got other plans. So,
but you know what? You found a passion, and that's what it's all about. Yeah. And sometimes, and I always believe, and I write about this in my book, that you can't just go out and find your passion. I think your passion finds you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was never a writer. I was never a writer until I was in my 40s. Yeah. And it kind of found me.
A lot of those things happen like in that age range, like okay, well, now you really know who you are, right? Because you spend most of your teens and your 20s and even your 30s trying to figure out who the heck you are to begin with. And then once you've lived some and you've been through some stuff, then you're like, okay, I can actually say this is exactly what I want. This is what I don't want for yourself, for your kids, all of that, right? It all comes full circle. And then when things get shifted and they get mixed up a little bit, then you're like, oh, I lost my footing. Like, where do I go now? Like, what do I do now? And so this is what 2020 has taught, I think, everyone, is how to pivot, how to navigate when you are approached with like, your life is like stopped, like on a needle. on a dime, and thinking like, okay, so how do I make money? How do I make extra money? How do I maintain my household without going crazy because I'm in the house with my kids 24/7, every day. So it's definitely taught me a lot. This entrepreneurship journey that I've embarked on has definitely taught me. I mean, I have so much more to learn. I just feel like because of this COVID, I've been in business for such a long time. It's really just been 6 months, I think, or has it been 6 months?
Yeah, it's been almost 7 months. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And you have been featured nationwide, internationally. So you've had so much, a lot of local press, some national press, international. And it's, I've been sitting back and watching you just like amazed, like, wow, this is incredible.
And myself too. I haven't, I was kind of like just going through the motions really. And I was like, oh, someone reached to me, hey, we'd like to feature you, or we'd like to do this, or we'd like to do that. I'm like, okay. But not really seeing the magnitude behind that, right? Because I didn't ask for any of it. And all I was doing was telling my story. Like there wasn't anything else. This is my story, and because of this story, this is why I'm doing this. And that's it. Like, that's it. There's no secret potion or like magic. That's, people are like, well, how did you get? I was like, yeah, I didn't do anything except for want to protect my child. Like that's all I did was be Mama Bear. That's pretty much what I did. It was the reason for all of it, So when you are passionate about something and the driving force has something to do with another passion of yours, like it's like double,
for sure,
double
for sure.
The thing. Yeah. So it elevates it just a little bit. And so for all the press that I have been getting and the people that I have met and interacted with and networked with and all of that. And it's like other people are watching that I'm not even aware of. Right. And then the messages that I have gotten from women all across the country and just, how inspiring I've been to them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize the magnitude of it. Cause I've been on the other side, like watching someone else. Obviously I'm watching Michelle Obama's documentary and she inspired me. So I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go out here and do this. Wasn't even thinking how it would inspire someone else. I just did it because she inspired me. Right. So then I realized that, oh, okay, what I am doing is actually like someone else is watching me and what I'm doing. And so that was like, oh, that was an eye opener too. Cause I was kind of like, I had blinders on a little bit and didn't realize how I was like affecting other people and that they were seeing too.
Yeah.
It's just like,
no. And that's just it, because circle, you never know who's going to be listening and you never know who's going to relate to your story. So I know I've kept you longer than we had originally planned. Do you have a little bit more time? Because I do want to talk to you about one other thing. So,
okay.
I tape these in advance before they're going to be released. Mm-hmm. And this week we had the presidential and vice presidential inauguration. And I saw on Facebook that you and Savannah had on these t-shirts honoring Kamala Harris. So I want to ask you, as a single mother, a Black mother raising a Black daughter, just like Kamala Harris experienced, her mother was a single mother. What does that mean for you? And what does that mean for you being a mother of a daughter who is seeing this for the first time?
For me, it is just amazing isn't even a word that I think could describe it in full scope, because I never thought that I would ever see a woman that high of an office in my lifetime. So even the gender itself meant one thing, and that she was a woman of color. So that was like a double whammy. And I'm beside myself, really. And that's why I wanted so much to document it for Savannah because she's young and doesn't understand what's really going on. I mean, she knows Kamala when she sees her, but she doesn't know, obviously, the full magnitude of what it means to see her on TV, to see her in the White House, and to know that she's holding a high office and second, in command of this country. And then not even that, but just her climb, the things that she went through to make her mark everywhere she went, because she was a woman and they were already, not giving her the respect that she was due.
Right. Just because she was a woman, not to mention
exactly
she was mixed race, a woman of color, Indian descent, the whole thing. Right.
Yes. Yep. So that was, she, double thing for her, but it was definitely something that I felt it had to be in black and white. It had to be like, I had to have something, and, paying homage to her and her, her blazers and her chucks that she wore on the campaign trail. And it was something that,
and there was some criticism about that. I'm like, why are you criticizing her?
There was.
Like, what's wrong with that? I love it. That's awesome. This is 2021. Come on.
Yes. And it's real, because like, who wants to be in heels and campaigning all day from sun up to sundown? Like, you need to be comfortable. Like, this is like, actually,
that's reality.
And this was a little different. Yeah. Because it was COVID. So it wasn't as much, but she still had to do it, and you need to be comfortable, period. So Hillary Clinton she too was criticized, about her pantsuits and stuff like that. So like, they wore pantsuits because they felt like if they didn't have that gave them a more of an armor of respect, right? Because if you have a dress on, you're like, oh, she's a little too feminine if she has a dress on. So if she have a pantsuit on, then we'll see that it looks like she means more business, right? That we respect her more. And it's sad that that's the way you have to form yourself in order for people to see that.
It is, but let's be honest, pantsuits are so much more comfortable than a dress. And I would wear a pantsuit any day over a dress. Period.
Yeah. It's twofold. It's comfortable, and it's also a symbol of being strong, and you're not taking any shit and this and that. So like, that's definitely a symbol that was set forth. And I think that, paying homage to her in that way, because that was her thing. Like, she still had her pearls. She still had her hair done. It wasn't all pulled back or anything. It was all flowy. That part was still feminine. She just had on chucks. That she had a blazer on, but she was comfortable, and she still fit the bill, And so I decided that we were going to pay homage to her in that way. And that when Savannah gets older and she has her own kids and her grandkids, she can say that, although I wasn't really aware of what was going on, my mom made sure that I was a part of it, and that I was in it, that I was there, I was there and I was in it, and it's documented so that I can have it for time now. I mean, she's going to have all types of paper clippings and stuff on the internet and stuff that she's going to be able to see anyway, which I'm ecstatic about. I mean, all my kids, because I include them in everything. So they'll have that too. The boys will have it too. So yeah, just this whole presidency, this inauguration, it means a lot to a lot of people, not just women, but just a lot of people, because there was a lot of insaneness the past 4 years. And it seems like a little bit more. I mean, I slept better Wednesday night, I think.
I feel like I can breathe
than
again.
I had in a while.
I feel like I can breathe.
It's like a big sigh of relief.
Yeah. But what I love, Londa, is seeing all the clips of the little girls looking at Kamala Harris and saying, she looks like me.
Like me. Yeah.
And I sit there and I'm like, tears just roll down my face. I mean, I have cried more in the past couple of days watching all of this, because it has just been so heartwarming just to see all of this. And it's just such a huge thing. And it's really sad that so many women are against her only because of their political beliefs, and they don't see the bigger picture. They don't see the bigger picture of what this means for the United States of America. It's not right now. It's not about politics. This is not about politics right now.
Yeah.
This is about,
it's progress.
This is progress, and it's humanity. And we had to press the reset button for the United States. And this is not about politics right now. This is just about let's unite and restore and bring humanity back into this country because we lost it the last 4 years.
Yep. It is. It's definitely, and I felt a way about that too, where women were there's some women, they're just like, wow, she hasn't done anything, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, politics aside, this is
not, I'm not having a political
it's not
discussion.
About that.
I refuse to discuss politics. That. This is not about politics.
Because I don't even do,
I don't do that either.
So it is progress. It is, when you look at the history of our country and the vice presidents, it's all men. It's all men. And so our kids my youngest ones will know that from this point on, there is a possibility that there could be a woman VP or a woman president. Like there's always a first. There has to be a first.
We had a first Black American president, and now we have a first Black South Asian vice president. Yeah. Woman.
And there always has to be one. There always has to be one. Because they're trailblazers. That's the point. Yeah. Somebody has to do it first, right? And that's where representation matters a lot. And when you see it, then you don't feel like you are sheltered or that this is the highest you can go and you can't go any higher. Because that's the way you'll see it if you don't see it anywhere. If I didn't see any Black judges, or if I didn't see any Black CEOs or VPs or any of that, I would think before I knew better that wasn't possible for anyone in my race or a woman of my race because I didn't see it anywhere. So that means it wasn't allowed, right? So when you are seeing it and the representation is there for you to see, then you're like, okay, my ceiling isn't lowered. It's opened up a little bit. Like the ceiling is open, and I can do and be whatever I want to be because such and such did it. So I know I can do it. But if you don't have the representation, then you kind of feel stifled, which Black Americans in this country have felt for a very long time, and also felt that they had to be twice as good to even be considered for any of these high positions or anything that a white person could just walk in off the street and get, right, without having any credentials or whatever, just because he's better for the job because he's white.
But we're breaking that he doesn't
have a degree or whatever. Yeah, and that is the point. Like that's the point. We have so much more to go. Obviously.
Oh my gosh, so much more. So much more.
This presidential race showed that, obviously, but we weren't where we were. So that, we weren't where we were, and that's what we have to move forward with this country, is that we weren't where we were, and hopefully we don't go backwards.
No, we can't go backwards. We can't afford to as a country. We have to keep moving forward, and hopefully things will keep moving forward. And I think that, with the new administration, while it's not what everybody wanted in this country, we're very divided. Yeah. I just hope that everybody has an open mind and opens up their heart and kind of takes the blinders off and sees that the other possibility, and sees that, there's so many Republicans that are willing to work with the Democrats, and they're really trying to make this a whole bipartisan effort, and hopefully that will happen.
It has to be.
It has to happen because
it's literally split down the center.
And as a country, we are doomed if they don't. And we are literally doomed if we don't. So we have to work together, and we have to make so many changes so that the future is there for our children. And I know, like, for everybody out there, if you've got kids, we want this to be a great country for all of our kids. And, we're not going to be here forever, but our kids will, and their kids will, and their kids will. And we want it to be a great place that we grew up with,
Yeah, it's definitely some hope there. It has brought hope back. And, I just, I'm ready to see, I'm holding this administration accountable.
Of course.
Period.
100%.
And so, just hoping to see, everything isn't going to be taken care of overnight, obviously, but I just feel better. I feel like there is someone that has some type of that is qualified. I'll say that. Someone that's qualified to do the jobs that the people have hired them to do.
Exactly.
Elected them to do.
And as much as people can make fun of Joe Biden, he is qualified for this job.
Yeah.
And he's got a great administration that he's put together. And,
the people around him, he's done a good job.
He's done a great job with that. So I just beg everybody to just keep an open mind and, let's just come together as a country, because life is too short. And if you're going to hold on to all of these resentments and anger and divisiveness, you're going to be miserable at the end of the day.
Pretty much.
You have a choice. Pretty much. We have a choice, which way you're going to choose. You're going to choose to be miserable. Or you're going to choose to be, okay, let me keep an open mind here, and let's just kind of go with the flow. Let's just see what happens, and, build a better tomorrow for our children and their children.
I'm here for it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, Londa, we're gonna close this up now. Is there anything else that you'd like to say? Shout out your website, your Instagram handle, Facebook, all that.
Yeah, sure. So if you guys want to follow my journey, I am as at Londa's Laboratory on both Facebook, IG, and on Twitter, I'm at Londa's Lab. I'm also on Clubhouse at Londa's Lab, which I just got another platform that I just got on, and I'm excited to play around more with that. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. And by the way, thank you for pulling me into Clubhouse.
Oh,
I
you're
have
welcome.
no clue what I'm doing. And we may need to have a separate call offline so you can educate me on Clubhouse, just like you did with Instagram with me.
I actually sat in a session with my girlfriend. She had us do, literally, it was like, she did a really good job with it was like an onboarding thing, and she took us through everything. So now I know how everything works and what you do and the etiquettes and all of that.
I need to sit down and Google it and what is Clubhouse? Why do I need to be on here? What is this? And I need to figure all that out. So thank you.
It's an awesome platform especially for anyone that has a podcast. It's awesome.
Yeah,
you can do it's like a live. You can do live podcasts, right? You can have a panel and you decide to start a room and talk about whatever you want to talk about that day, and then get off.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
Londa, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you for taking time. And I know I've kept you a long time this evening, but it was such a great conversation. I'm glad it all worked out this time.
I know. Likewise. I'm like, man, I hope this one does good. Yeah.
All right, my dear. I will talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, honey. Okay. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Wow. So, every time I talk to her about her story, I get more information and I'm just blown away. And the word that pops up is the resilience that she has. And I love talking with people that have been through so many things that I haven't experienced because, I can't relate because I don't know what I don't know. And as I said, when I was talking with her, I've always said, I've got this miracle baby because he truly was a miracle baby. But I really think that Savannah, she beats my son on that one. That's for sure. So you can find Londa on Instagram and Facebook at Londa's Laboratory. Her website is londaslaboratory.com. And if you'd like to learn more about me, my website is sandeescarlotta.com. My book, Happiness Solved, Climbing 100 Steps, is available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. And you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Coach Sandee Scarlotta. So thank you so much for listening today. And I hope that you and your family stay healthy and safe and that your life is filled with peace, joy, and happiness. Take care, everyone.